I put on all my gear and I went upstairs and I attacked my mom and dad in like a really gruesome way. And then I looked at them again and they were fine. Like after I attacked them, they were all bloody and bruised, but then I looked at them again and they were fine. And then the EDF, as I like to call them now, or the police, were at my house, and I told them something, and then they took me down to a hospital, and then what one of the officers told the doctor was, "Demons attacked his parents, don't look at him like he's crazy." And then the doctor just like talked to me and was like, "Are you going to cooperate when you're in here?" And I was like, yes, I've been cooperating so far. I just want to figure out what the heck is going on. And then I dreamt that I was there for like 3 weeks that passed by really quickly. It was just like I was out of control, and then the second I decided to be in control, I had to go with everybody else's rules. To be honest, I'm still kind of pretty sure it was an earthquake and my hat rack, or my clothing rack with all my armor and stuff fell down on me. And I used to really go on and on about it in my head, that I had some sort of major surgery from being drugged or something. And it turns out none of that was true. It's just, it wasn't true. It was that I lived in Sendai, which is outside of Tokyo, when the tsunami happened, and that was really, I might have, again, like hit my head back then, too. I think the way I handled it in my head this time, of just like going on and cooperating with it, and even making sure there was an impossibility of like anybody who was hurt was immediately recovered, is good enough that I'll just like keep going with whatever plan my parents have for me now. Like, they're supportive of me, and they always have been, but it's best that I just don't even bother this time. Unrelatedly, I had to get prescribed vitamins, right? And once again, we have paperwork about that, but all the doctors' names on it are like Dr. Ooga Booga, or like Dr. Meow Cat. It's legit just like made-up gibberish names. It's kind of laughable this time, even though it was a serious thing.
Hi, this is Lewis, the actor who plays Lewis, as well as who plays Mogar, for the documentary series. Anybody thinks suddenly it's something like, oh, this is like a troll or prank, and I knew this was coming a mile away, or I didn't, and you guys fooled me. I'd like to maybe give some reasoning as to behind this documentary was made. I had done some creative writing throughout my life, including things like the overly successful sister, the psychosis stays, as well as things like living off of welfare, being trapped in the basement, having no mental thought process of how to get out. I realized when working with porcelain, the reason why I had written those down is I thought that they were so grim that they'd give people perhaps a more positive outlook on their own life. So it's a bit of a horror series in the way it is. He and I have been working on this project for several years now, and I hope that you continue to be fascinated or compelled by it, even enthralled. Thank you.
Japan! Round 1. Fight! You win! Perfect!
It's true. Louis Finley defeated me, Lord Frieza, in that dreaded Bane Realm. Even in my final form, I was no match for his unyielding force. I bend the knee to the Banner Lord. Louis harnesses the sort of power that would humble even the fiercest god of destruction. I now serve at the mercy of the mighty Lord Mogar of Bane.
Otterbein College's Professor of Psychology Noam Spencer once spoke of mental health as not a destination but a process, arguing the pathway to cognitive normalcy is about how you drive, not where you're going. With that in mind, we can assume Louis Bonifield Finley has spent the entirety of 2022 drunk behind the wheel. In fact, if this quote were to be taken to its natural conclusion, one might find the congealed remains of Louis Finley splattered across the dashboard of the Menninger Clinic short bus, with his brain now closer resembling some sort of malfunctioning neuron accelerator, colliding electrical impulses to the point of total behavioural breakdown. The deteriorating state of Louis Finley's ability to reason would make one of Wayne Lambright's aeronautical seminars sound like the life's work of a tenured professor. This is the progressively bizarre tale of Lord Mogar of Bane Realm, the larger-than-life identity adopted by one Louis Bonifield Finley in his ongoing battle against the fictitious demons causing a monumental ruckus in his brain. Essentially, Lord Mogar is the uninhibited projection of the more extroverted corners of Louis Finley's personality. Unlike Louis, Mogar exudes the sort of wildly unearned confidence you'd expect from a certain 4-foot groiper sporting a fake beard. Cutting a domineering yet eerily charismatic figure, Lord Mogar is Louis Finley's idealistic avatar, an extravagant solution to his continued state of sheepish withdrawal. The character also acts as a method of creative expression, with Louis casually slipping in and out of the Lord's baneful shell, often using an over-elaborate horned mask to initiate the transformation.
I'm a necromancer who lives in a hovel. This is the Mask of Clavicus Vial. It gives me plus 10 to intimidation and plus 30 to speechcraft.
It's a way for him to get attention. That's his character he uses to get attention, basically. It's all about attention. Nope, that's it. He likes to be Mogar and get on his stream and hit his bag or do whatever the fuck, I don't know, wacky shit that he does.
Mogar's a way to escape from my troubles.
I think sometimes Louis is pretending to be Mogar, and I think sometimes he is Mogar, like he doesn't realise he isn't. And it all depends on his mental state at the time.
A normal, regular me isn't very attention-getting. It's a personality thing. I don't look out for attention, but as Mogar, I certainly do.
Look at me! That's Louis. Like we're not we're not acknowledging everything he's doing and just responding to all his inane shit. He will spam the chat and won't shut the fuck up. Like he just wants to be like the center of attention all the time, and that's fine. I get it.
I am Sir Lord Mogar, the dictator general, whose fan club is all his serfs and mortals.
I believe the Mogar thing comes from an episode of The Adventures of Billy and Mandy, which is his favourite cartoon. Yeah, there was just an episode where there was a character called Mogar or something, because when he started calling himself Mogar, we googled it and that was the only reference we could find. And yeah, it's his favourite cartoon, so.
I've been researching the only Daedra that I seemed to fully agree with, and have been honored with the mask.
With multiple personalities came multiple dimensions, with Louis dissecting his own reality into an increasing number of illusionary dominions. The Bane world, also known as the Bane Realm, is where Lewis places the more unmanageable hassles of everyday life. Should the stresses of reality overburden the poor creatures tasked with operating the levers of his cerebral cortex, they are swiftly dispatched into the Bane Realm, and as such are no longer a tangible problem. The Bane Realm can even be divided further into a litany of subcategories, dependent on his specific gripe at the time, such as the dreaded laundry dimension.
I should go into the universe and do my laundry soon. I woke up today and my bed sheets just don't smell very good. I don't really like the laundry dimension very much. It's... You know what? As far as any dimension I've traveled to, it is number 2 on my least favorite.
It's essentially a creative method of avoidance, with his parents more often than not remedying whatever annoyance he has cast to the Bane. Then we have the Spirit Realm, Mogar's hallucinatory filing cabinet housing over a decade of unmedicated delirium. With the implementation of this neurological coping mechanism, Lewis ensures all past episodes are neatly filed away for safekeeping, thus regaining some semblance of control. Whether it's the female apparition living in his walls, or an imaginary housewife named Wren, echoes of the Spirit Realm often permeate into other dimensions, with Lewis himself often gliding back and forth like some sort of severely demented Time Lord. And finally, there's the Nightmare Realm, a place not even Lewis himself dares speak of. Much like Minecraft's Nether region, this is a world populated with his most terrifying visions, often tormenting him into sporadic fits of yelps and spasms. Only the very worst of Lewis Finley's psychological plagues lurk in the Nightmare Realm.
The Bane Realm is where I'm kind of like a 1950s or 90s sitcom dad, and even though stuff can get out of control and whacked out, I could basically just keep everyone from misbehaving.
I guess it's just a way for him to sort of compartmentalize his problems. I don't know, like I guess like his dad pissing him off is like part of the Bane world, I guess, right? Like just things like that, like the TV and his parents annoying him with the TV. Like when he would always go upstairs and yell at them for having the TV on too loud. Like that's kind of like the Bane world.
As naturally awful as can be, however, the blessings of the Bane world is that shitty people don't exist in it. And I can use a lot of cyber-dimensional travel to find a lot of shitty people.
The Bane world is kind of like the parts of real life that you don't want to deal with, and Lou's just categorized them into Bane world, this alternate dimension. So I don't know, if you have to go to the DMV or something, that's Bane world because it's boring. I'm not exactly sure where he thinks he's living, but it's not Bane world.
Like when he called me and said he was going to put his parents in a fucking home when I was driving, like that's Bane world stuff. He said that the WWE was had him on every night, you know, and he was training with I don't know, fucking Hurt Ferguson or whoever the fuck, I don't know what wrestler fucking like saying he was training with him, and that his parents need to go to a retirement home, and that he wanted a recommendation of what retirement home to put them in. I guess dealing with his parents. His parents are just day-to-day annoyance. Bane world.
There's definitely a spirit realm, although I don't know much about that one. I think it's probably linked to Dragon Ball or something, so it's a bit out of my wheelhouse.
Back in what the more psychologically grounded of us might describe as perceivable reality, it was that time of year where families gathered to celebrate the mass unwrapping of throwaway tosh. For Lewis, the festive season presented the perfect opportunity to tap into his so-called Japanese roots and partake in a little Christmas karaoke. He would divide this most holy of days between the incoherent babble of mumbled Asian noises and Schwarzenegger screaming to Japanese baby metal. Elsewhere, his fascination with Oriental culture, largely driven by a primal sexual attraction to questionably aged cartoons, would even see him attempt to refine his already perfect grasp on the language through a series of botched online examinations.
I knew it. Fuck off. $20. Okay, whatever. You're the smart one. You're the genius there. By the way, I pay 800 yen for a pound of coffee. So I just kind of don't get where you're coming from, lady. I pay 800 yen.
This before pissing away hours in a lobotomized trance, unwinding to the bouncing of hentai booba. All in all, his obsession with all things Japan was beginning to reach some quite alarming heights indeed.
Yeah, well, I think he's been enjoying porn with such intensity over such a long period of time now that he's kind of dulled himself to it, and now he looks at it as a more of an academic pursuit. You can see clips of him studying the pornography rather than enjoying it in a more traditional sense.
Lewis has consumed so much Japanese cartoon filth that his body barely even reacts to it anymore. It's essentially hypnotic white noise to him at this stage. He could sit there for hours chain smoking to the most graphic of animated junk and barely move an inch. It's a little like seeing a toddler planted right in front of the TV, transfixed by a marathon of dinosaur train. Something about what Lewis is watching just seems to put him in this deep erotic trance, and there's really no snapping him out of it. But it's the fact that he just plants himself in that basement, shamelessly staring at hours of illustrated porno while streaming for all to see that most disturbs me. Either Lewis gets a real sadistic kick from being watched, or he's simply locked into such an extent he forgets who or where he actually is.
Lewis truly believes he's living on a Japanese island right now. He talks about typhoons, earthquakes, and volcanoes like they're everyday occurrences, and straight up refuses to acknowledge the reality of his surroundings. Whether it's the cartoons he's watching, the porno he's beating off to, or the food he eats, everything has to tie back to Japan in some fucking way or another. It's like the reality of knowing he's just another in a long line of fat American retards is too much for him to handle.
Having taken the sort of beating usually reserved for another of Ethan Ralph's laps around the Portuguese prostitution scene, Lewis Finley's beloved body pillow was at this point reduced to a final few strips of duct tape amongst patches of exposed polyester stuffing. And it didn't take long for one last strike from his decorative longsword to put an end to his training regime altogether. With nothing left for Lewis to attack, efforts were made to replace the makeshift fighting bag with something depicting the enlarged face of formophobic Bickerson. However, such schemes quickly fell by the wayside, with a perturbed Lewis casting the pillowcase straight into the trash dimension without the slightest hesitation.
I'm scared for me too. I don't want to do this, and I won't do this. Yes, I'm a tuning. I'm not gonna go any fucking farther than that today. Okay? I know listen to my goddamn music, and I really fucking mean that. I'm not gonna put on a goddamn performance with that shit. Fuck that.
Another cover was delivered to Lewis, this time completely plastered in Oriental cartoon smut, in the desperate hope of reactivating those misfiring neurons that led him to decimate his original makeshift body bag. Unfortunately, the plan backfired, with Lewis soon coating the body pillow with night after night of premature ejaculate. Aside from the occasional demonstration of his hand-to-hand combat proficiency, there was simply no room left in Mogar's itinerary for physical activity that didn't involve the relentless beating of his own meat.
Yeah, he cut it up with knives in his basement. He cut up the girl anime pillow up with knives in his basement, slashed it up. He was go in his backyard and whack it with sticks. Like, he probably whacked off onto it too, like, also, because I think that's why people have those, right? Is that, I guess when he was done with all that, he cut it up real nice, you know, with his scythes and fucking, his whatever ninja weapons he has.
His body pillow had a hard life, and one day it just reached the end of its tether, and he completely obliterated it, and I believe he never got a body pillow. Well, actually, he did get another body pillow, but this one wasn't for fighting. This one was for cuddling with.
Imagine being the parents and cleaning that up and being like, okay, well, this is like a girl, like his little like girl anime pillow. My son's down here at 4 a.m. slashing with fucking fantasy weapons that he bought on Amazon. It's like, oh, all right, well, we're gonna clean this up while he's asleep, and that's it.
Meanwhile, having convinced himself he was in fact an 8-foot Japanese teenager, Lewis would require an exorbitant level of sustenance to meet the demands of his self-diagnosed case of pre-adolescent gigantism. He would dedicate himself to 5-calorie intensive meals per day, usually in the form of some ill-fitting concoction of Chinese leftovers and microwaved slop. And with his weight rapidly soaring past 300 pounds, his motivation to do anything other than chain smoke to episodes of Kamen Rider would plummet by the day.
I'm gonna get 5 dinners, and I'm gonna bring my backpack and my phone, and I'm gonna drive. Shut the fuck up. Stop saying the wrong thing. I got 4 dinners coming up. I want to eat these again so much. If I could just get like a tub of the custard, though, I would just eat it with a spoon.
I don't know, he was eating 5 dinners a night at one point. That was pretty impressive that he was able to do that and not die, I guess. I don't know if he weighed himself after or anything like that. I don't know if he actually gained any real weight off of that. I don't know, but he was eating 5 dinners. Yeah, it was pretty disgusting. Sometimes I don't know what he posts pictures of what he's eating. I don't know what it is. It looks pretty horrible sometimes. It's a mix of like leftovers and like new food plus leftovers that he'll like his parents dump in like a trough for him, I guess, and send downstairs to him.
I think it might be a Dragon Ball thing. Something to do with like Goku ate 5 dinners a day to make himself stronger or some shit. I'm not gay enough to know about that stuff, but people that are have made that link.
His health at this point was showing notable signs of disrepair, with lengthy bouts of coughing fits often interrupted by waves of watery flatulence. Complaints of vomiting and diarrhea were at this point a regular occurrence, whilst the quarter-mile round trip to Liberty gas station would often see Lewis collapse in a breathless heap. And with his exercise regimen solely reliant on the installation of another anime fighting bag, the one thing in his local vicinity Lewis had apparently lost his appetite for, there'd be no end in sight for the physical decline of this overly hirsute behemoth. This extended period of physical inactivity would only suppress so much of his more aggressive tendencies, with Lewis making good use of his trusty Red Rider, much to the distress of Maryland's local woodland fauna. He would begin by fatally wounding a troublesome squirrel, courtesy of his gas-powered rifle, before delivering a fateful stomp to the rodent's head. This for the crime of coming in and pooping all over the place, resulting in his elderly parents having to discard of the bloodied remains.
I did shoot a squirrel. There's not much to say. It broke into my house and was pooping on the place. Because it was pooping in my house, my mom and dad cleaned it up.
Recently, he's kind of been attacking any animals on his property, small creatures and the like. He has a Red Rider BB gun, and he's posted a few pictures of confirmed kills. And he also claims to have stomped on a squirrel's head until its brain was leaking out, but it ran away.
He would quickly move on to larger game, killing a duck with his single shot before fucking up 5 birds who attacked me in a swarm and didn't get to live long enough to regret it. But his proudest kill would see Lewis revert to bladed weaponry, decapitating a black rat snake that had invaded his basement dwelling, using some sort of elaborate Elder Scrolls replica weapon. All in all, this development from swinging anime pillows to living moving targets was quite the concern indeed.
The snake was up here, and it was coiled around that doorknob. And what I did was like this. I went up here, right? I wasn't really paying attention, and there's this big black thing right over there. Right, where it is. And I went... And I jumped down here. And immediately, I went for my sword there. And I took it 2 hands. And I went up here, and I went like, oh, and gave it a swipe.
He was indoors, and at the top of his stairs, a snake had gotten in, and that really freaked him out, and he cut it in twain with a samurai sword.
Retarded, crazy people killing animals. Surprise, surprise. And that's what they tend to do. I think every single situation like this has that theme in it, where they're killing little animals. Snakes, I get. I'll kill snake, fine. But you're sniping birds outside of your house, like, just for the fuck of it. That's what crazy, retarded people do, is they kill small animals. That's just par for the course.
A noticeable spike in the neurological abnormalities of Lewis Finley would see a disturbing return to the delusions of yesteryear, with Ren, the most recent recipient of his deranged advances, now a peripheral figure in the ever-changing imagination of Lord Mogar. Lewis was at this point not only convinced that Ren was his actual wife, but that she was living somewhere in his basement as some sort of ghoulish apparition. Eventually, the lines of Ren's existence would become rather blurred, with Lewis in a constant state of confusion when discussing the so-called relationship. For example, images of Ren with what appeared to be her actual boyfriend and child would soon emerge, with Lewis certain the photographs were actually of Ren and himself in their formative years. He would even go as far as to attribute crude drawings of Dragon Ball characters, performing a litany of lascivious acts to Ren that he had done himself, a seemingly desperate ploy to have his friends believe his imaginary girlfriend was in the room with him.
There's Ren laughing up there. She's cool. She's a cool chick.
He sent her money, like, a lot. I remember when somebody contacted her on Facebook. She could barely speak, by the way. She barely could type English. Like, she probably has an IQ of about 75. But she was definitely just getting money from Lewis, fucked up, whatever, and enabling his delusions, and definitely made it worse. The fact that it's continuing still now, and I know that she's probably blocked him like years ago at this point. It's crazy. I don't think he's violent. I think if he was violent, he would have murdered her by now. He would have cut her fucking head off, probably.
I gotta be honest, even though Ren set up these fans to like play pretend on the pun of like, it's a fan, right? Fans are fans of mine, right? Get it? I have been constantly hearing the helpless screams of others from them this entire time.
It's hard to pin down because it's just so all over the place. Like, he was like going on about her being a raven or something. I don't know, stuff about being a cursed doll and stuff like that. He's had her inhabit a few different creatures and objects. I guess one of the weird things he did is like he'd see pictures of her with her boyfriend and he'd think it was him in the picture. And so he'd be talking to us like, oh, here's an old picture of me with Ren. And we're like, hey, this clearly isn't you. This guy's like skinnier, doesn't look anything like you. They'd be like, no, that was just me when I was younger, and you wouldn't be able to convince them otherwise.
Hang on, shut up, Ren. I forgot to mention, Ren might be visiting today. She just kind of snuck up on me. She's yelling for someone to rescue her, and I don't know what I could do to help her.
I'm not one of those people that thinks he's faking it, but like, I guess there's like little glimpses in there of recognition, but it's hard to even imagine what it's like to look through that fucking kaleidoscope of a brain of his.
So her asking for rent is like not even the worst thing. I'm at the stage now where I'm trying to tell her like either like she's got to change or I've got to change, and I think she's trying to change. I might seem like I'm pretty responsible, but my love life is all about irresponsibility. I think I'm at this phase now where I want to change that.
2 years of highly concentrated obsession towards Ren would soon take its most troubling turn yet, with Lewis having arrived at the conclusion that his own mother Renee was in fact his imaginary wife under some sort of elderly curse. Describing her as the Alligator Lady, he would compare his mother rather unfavourably to Dragon Ball's fortune teller Baba, stating, "For the time being, I'm married to this." His solution was to order a selection of provocative and highly inappropriate clothing, in efforts of breaking the curse and restoring the youthful vibrance of his beloved Ren. And after filling his Amazon basket with knee-high leather boots, fishnet stockings, torn gothic leggings, a particularly suggestive garter set, a burlesque-style push-up corset, and even some rather exotic black-laced panties, he'd put his patently disturbing theory to the test, asking, "If I order these, will Renee stop being an old lady?" His continued attempts to find the cure of a hag-raven disorder would descend to even deeper depths of depravity, with his mother opening these gifts on his Twitch livestream in a total bemused haze, even agreeing for an excitable Lewis to manhandle her toes in the process. With the reality of her own biological son's sexual advances slowly washing over her, politely batting away the apparent incestual proposals of an unmedicated Kuma, with a sequence of uncomfortable chuckles was pretty much her only play.
Would you like to see the Alligator Lady? I hear the door. Okay. You're welcome. Oh, no. I'm just waiting for something for you, and yeah. Yeah. When we're gonna open up together, and there we go. We're doing a spell in tandem. I think Renee's gonna figure out how I do magic. It's kind of like the delivery drivers on their way from the stores that I read about.
I thought I did order the Lewis.
I just decided to use my own powers to get them.
Well, you're spending all your money, Lou. You don't want to do that. This is made in China. Boots.
Yeah, it's not actually from China. It's kind of like a slang. Like, made in China. It's fine.
I know, but
it's fine clothes.
Are they're not yours.
Right, they're yours.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The platform.
Let me see these. I gotta see. I love platforms, by the way. Did you know that? Now, I'm a 7.5, but if these are from China, then I'm probably...
China's more like the quality, not the size.
Okay, well, yeah, they're a little bit, but not too much.
Can I feel your toe?
Yeah.
Okay. These are some jean leggings.
New pencil trousers, black. Oh, wow, they're cut out.
Yeah, around like the knees or thighs.
Wow. I love those.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I do
too.
my yoga, and that's what you do. You stretch pants, right?
Right. Yeah.
Why'd you give me these?
Something fashionable.
Whoa, this is a garter.
That might have turned out like
Something by mistake.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Sorry.
The moon. That's cute. Look.
I thought it was cute.
Isn't that sweet?
It still is, yeah.
No, this is more lingerie.
Oh, well, I thought that was meaning more like a normal underwear set.
You sent them to the wrong lady.
Watch your head. You're okay.
Oh, it's velvet. I love velvet. Ooh,
Velvet
that's
gloves.
pretty. Oh, are these bracelets?
Yeah. I thought those would be gloves actually, but yeah. Those are some bracelets to wear.
Wow. You really have good taste. I don't think I could have picked out anything better, to tell you the truth.
She looked a little bit younger to me. Her hands and face look a little younger, but she's still kind of looks 50. Maybe after she tries that stuff on, it'll work. She's gone from looking like 70 to 50, but she hasn't put those clothes on yet. You know, maybe they'll fix everything.
With his bounty of gifts having on the face of it been politely received, albeit through the sort of gritted teeth of a father greeting his son's Cambodian boyfriend, Lewis would be quick to check if the elderly curse afflicting his darling spouse had indeed been lifted. After confirming, "I'll know when I see her with my own eyes," he would continue to ponder why Wren was still trapped in her Alligator Lady form, despite what he'd describe as the accidental summoning of Daedric Longera, with his only remaining hope of reversing Wren's reptilian transformation involving some sort of restorative yoga ritual. It was clear Lewis was running out of options, at least ones that made sense. And with what appeared to be an avatar belonging to his own mother, having stumbled upon her son's online community to pester the poor boy with a series of overbearing annoyances, this prompting an exasperated Lewis to request that you and Dad return to normal soon, the relationship between the two would remain a confusing one indeed.
She's still very tricky. She appeared both as a cashier and my mother, and very briefly there was a temporal break through a dimension and she appeared as she actually is.
He bought the lingerie online, you know, about thongs and garter belts, things like that, and was it like knee-high boots or whatever, or some shit? The box arrived, I guess, at the house, and he had her unbox it in front of him, and it was started okay, like normal, kind of. It was always weird clothes, like, you know, Hot Topic kind of shit. And then it just got worse with, like, knee-high boots, oh. And then, like, oh, garter, and, like, lingerie? She knew what was going on pretty much immediately, too. She was clearly pretty disturbed.
So, at the time, Lewis was having some particularly strong delusions, I guess. He made the association of Ren, his imaginary girlfriend, who exists, but he just thinks it's his girlfriend, and Renee, his mum. I think there was some confusion in his head there.
I bet her and the father, Pat, had a long conversation about that night. They were like, what the fuck are we gonna do? This is a very dark turn this is taking. I'd rather have my kid out fucking threatening girls with pictures of revolvers and, I don't know, doing golly knows what than trying to fuck my wife. You know? That would be... I think that's about as bad as it gets.
He was saying she was an alligator lady under a curse, which just made her look like an old hag. Old hag being his words. Someone suggested to him that he might be able to break the curse by buying her young, sexy clothes. So he did that because he thought it was a good idea and that it might break the curse. And she opens the box and she's like, hey, why are you buying me sexy goth pants and lingerie and shit?
Lewis would fuck a dog if he put it in his house, and he knew he'd get away with it. They don't have pets for a reason. He would fuck his mom. If you had the opportunity to fuck his mom, you'd fuck his mom. That boy, sexually speaking, you don't want to fucking know. It's gotta be scary living in that house.
With Lewis Finley, the internet's most recent casualty of the dreaded Oedipus complex, a phenomenon sweeping through the autistic spectrum with a sort of rampant enthusiasm comparable to the gay community's anal spreading of monkeypox, his mental state was at this point at its lowest ebb. And with Lewis now batting away a bombardment of abusive text messages and prank calls, having foolishly shared his phone number on stream, his unique blend of cartoonish mania would soon take an increasingly aggressive turn. A sequence of confrontational barbs interspersed with the occasional showing of his schizoid warface would litter the conversational chain containing such threats as, be more careful who you pick on or I'm gonna pick my teeth with you, or tell it to your boss or cousin or officer or whatever kind of scummy criminal lowlife faggots you hang out with, I don't have any fear of your kind, and I don't have any respect for them either. The message thread would eventually descend into Weibo gibberish, with Lewis infusing Dragon Ball lore into his shirtless rants, placing himself as some sort of maladjusted Master Roshi to the internet's Lord Frieza. But it was during his Twitch live streams where years of tightly knotted insanity would truly unwind, as Lewis unleashed his full power towards the cluster of meddling pranksters. With hours of performative vitriol spewed towards what could only be described as some sort of A-logging Ginyu force rendering mixed results at best, the mighty Mogar would be faced with very few options. In the Lord's most infinite wisdom, it would ultimately be decided that the simplest solution was to cut all lines of communication by furiously snapping his phone in twine with his bare fists, thus ingeniously starving his tormentors of direct access.
At one point, he got upset with everyone and left the Discord server we were in and made his own one, claiming it was a spaceship. Everyone who was joining the server was like, now a crew on the SS fucking retard or whatever. He was just role-playing being captain of a spaceship, hurtling through space for a few days. But then the people that were upset that he left started sending him some nasty texts. He got a bit worked up and he was very angry in his replies, very threatening, sent some very scary images. You can actually see him on stream the day that's happening, taking like 3 or 4 minutes to set up a picture of him holding his fist up threateningly to the camera.
Their boss, who's also a faggot and a homosexual that I can home run with a single swat in my hand as a restricted number. The other two, it's either their real number or their fake ones. I think all of them collectively are equal to Frieza, but I'm Master Roshi and I will fuck them up in a fight. I will gut him and I will fillet him and I will serve it to his crappy kids. You want some of my money today, do you, huh? You want some of my money today? Do you want some of all this cash I made? I'm a real bad guy, aren't I? I'm a real bad guy for being so rich. I promise I won't annihilate you with my bare hands. If in 20 years you could figure out that your asshole is not the same as your mouth. How fucking dare you to think you're from some sort of, I don't know, some mythical background of samurai or some shit, so you could fucking look down on a teenager who's being nice. And now you see who I am. You see that I'm 300 pounds of fighting fury, and you know what I think of you still? I think you're some spoiled rich boys. How much do you think this weighs, huh? I tell you what, I'll give you the answer. It weighs more than you do. Maybe Mogar's strength is also a prank, huh? Maybe if Mogar puts his hands on somebody, they're not gonna fall apart like this box of a chair just did, huh? Maybe, possibly, that's not gonna happen to all the 120-pound fuck-ups and their 150-pound failure parents, huh? Maybe that's not gonna happen to them if I get my hands on them. No, that's not gonna fucking happen. Everything is fake. Everything's about looking in the fucking mirror and jerking off to cartoons, isn't it? That's this whole fucking country except for me and a handful of friends. And fuck you. You get what you fucking deserve. What about this old phone I used to take such gentle care of? Oh man, I guess it was good for 3 years, wasn't it? God, it's like maybe I pressed it wrong this time or something. Maybe I should try to fix it. You fucking think you're in charge of me? You still fucking think you're in charge of me? You think you have any fucking idea of what to even tell me? Do you? 'Cause I'm not in a very good guy mood anymore. I fucking dare you still to fucking try this bad guy out for size. I really do. I still want to fucking dare you to, so that you don't even get to fucking eat and drink the same food I do. Don't ever even exist with the fucking theory that you have any will to punish me at all.
His father Patrick was at this point doing his utmost to stay well and truly clear of his son's continued social deterioration, often sprawled across his couch to a marathon of network news, oblivious to the abominable happenings seeping through the cracks of his floorboards. But with Lewis now struggling to tread water in a whirlpool of his own discombobulation, the relationship between the two would suffer considerably as a result. So far gone was Lewis that he'd at times forget exactly who this strange old man living upstairs was, often bursting into disoriented fits of confusion as to why he was sharing his dominion with some meddling elderly couple who for some reason knew everything about him. At one point, Lewis would conclude that those two people in my house are burglars who haven't gotten the idea that I'm real yet, before continuing in a rather worrying fashion with, I don't even know why they're here, but I'd rather keep embarrassing them than be violent. Eventually, his overly stimulated brain cells would formulate their very own cope, with Lewis now acknowledging the mystery figure upstairs as his roommate Sean, believing him to be the actual physical manifestation of one of his virtual companions. And with his father now answering to the name Sean, likely a result of Patrick taking the path of least resistance, all was well in the Finley household.
Hey.
Did you put them all back in the thing?
What? Yeah. Is one missing?
No, I doesn't look like it. I just asked.
Okay, yeah.
I think you did.
Okay.
Good job, dude.
That's my roommate, Sean. He he's like he has a house besides being my roommate, but like there's actually kind of just like a bunch of really lazy drivers that are too reckless to be around without having to play battle tanks. So Dave, this is Sean. He's my roommate.
Speak up again.
He's 1,000 years old and he can't hear too well sometimes.
Well, just you're mumbling. I mean.
Sean, yeah, you hear me? I know you do. You always do. I have a.
Night, Lou.
Well, I'll have a good night.
I'll let you go to bed.
I did, but I have to.
Couldn't get to sleep. Well, listen, man. Don't stay up all night. I love you. Good night.
Forget staying up all night. I don't want to die.
Oh, come on, man. Don't make me worry about you.
I'm not making you. You're making me worry about me with
I
that.
worry about you because I love you to death.
I love you to death too.
Alright, I'm going to sleep, sweetie.
Okay. I'm good. I'm doing really good. No, he took off for a little while, I think. He was checking on the motorcycles. He's helping me kind of just like adjust to the day by getting angry each day. It's sort of like a deal we have with each other. I promise we're still good friends.
I thought you were coming upstairs.
Hey, I'd love to, but I gotta shake off something, okay?
Oh, come on.
Hey, listen, Sean, I love you, but I gotta shake off something.
You got a what?
It's an expression. I have to shake something off. Shake off an emotion. Get it out of my system.
Please.
Just don't beg and plead me. Just go take care of yourself. I'll take care of myself. I beg of
But
you.
you're okay.
I'm okay. Yeah, if you hear me yelling and cursing up a storm, it's because there's honestly, I'm not making this up. I promise I'm not crazy, and neither are you.
Okay.
But if there's like evil spirits around,
Alright.
and it like
They're not real though, you know that.
right, but you can't just like let them go.
Okay.
It's
Remind yourself that they're not real.
right. I went through full priesthood for it. I promise.
Alright, well, you scare me when you yell at me like that. But just let me know if you need anything, alright? I'm here to help you.
I know you are.
Alright.
I think his dad probably, just from knowing Lewis and how he handles things, his dad was probably like, hey, I'm not Sean, can you just like call me dad? And Lewis just persisted and he gave up after a month, realizing Lewis is never going to budge because he's just very stubborn and in his ways.
But Patrick doesn't give a shit. Patrick doesn't like getting hands put on him, but I don't think he cares. I think he's just gonna live his life. Until something bad happens, obviously. But I think that he doesn't care.
Okay, maybe I played into it a bit when he started, because he'll be on the Discord, like, saying I'm his dad and stuff, and I'm like, sure, yeah, whatever. You want me to be your dad? I'm your dad, mate. What's going on? And, yeah, I did maybe once tell him that he should start calling me Sean in real life, and that I might insist my name's not Sean, but to just keep calling me that anyway. And he was like, okay, I'll do this for you.
I think that he just tries to live his life as normal as possible. Like, he just tries to go on day to day and just kind of not let the whole situation really, derail him in his retirement too much, you know?
But with Lewis in a heightened state of sensual awareness due largely to his current unmedicated state, it wasn't long before he was back to screaming at the ceiling for somebody to turn that goddamn TV off. And with his father permanently engaged in CNN's inflammatory coverage of Ukraine, a conflict Lewis would casually dismiss as a bunch of airsoft larpers, he would very quickly lose his cool. In fact, so triggering was the incessant sound of Patrick's television set, that Lewis would actually resort to poking various weapons through the floorboards above his head, in efforts of impaling his father's foot, hopeful of satiating hours of pent-up rage, with at least one vengeful prod of his trusted broadsword.
Look at this dumb shit right here. These dumb motherfuckers right here.
Give your dad a little bit of respect. If he wants to watch the news, I can watch the news.
You're not my dad, first of all.
Oh my God.
Some sort of weird old guy who lives here.
Hey, you're not my son.
Correct. Oh God, would you turn that TV off? I hear it right there. Just turn that TV off.
No.
If I could enter that TV, and whoever the hell is in there that is annoying the shit out of me right now through my fucking speakers, I would kick their fucking skull off their goddamn face. It's so fucking irritating. Oh, a bunch of airsoft lipers from a bunch of fucking places. They're doodly tum. They're a bunch of fucking pedophiles, and all they're good for is scaring children. And I should actually fucking kill them. I actually fucking should. I'm getting really pissed about this. Leave my house. If you don't leave this house today, I promise never to come back. I'm gonna make you want to not live in my house. I'm gonna tear up those floorboards that you keep walking on. And whether that's the first reason or not that you won't live in my house, I want to break those plates you keep using. But maybe this will be a sharp enough of a warning.
He was trying to stab through the floorboards to stab his dad. He was walking above him. He was trying to stab through the floorboards with his sword to poke his dad, I guess. And that was one of the nights he was real ornery about the TV. That's all Pat's up there doing is watching TV. I don't think it's that loud. I think that it's just like, I don't know, can we hear it all? I don't think I've ever heard the TV on stream before. Maybe once or twice. I just feel like some days it just bothers Lewis more than others. That day it definitely bothered him bad. I don't think Patrick cares, though. Until it gets violent. He will care then.
At one point, Lou did just seem to constantly complain about the noise of the television from upstairs suddenly. I assume his dad's always been up there watching TV, but at a certain point, Lou decided it was the bane of his existence, and he would yell upstairs, tell his dad to turn it down. The guy's just trying to enjoy TV in his own front room. Lewis went up there a couple of times to confront him. He started wearing these headphones like the mentally disabled brother wears in There's Something About Mary. I think they got him retard headphones so that the TV noises wouldn't make his head hurt.
That's when it really popped off, was the Ukraine shit. He really hated hearing about that. Even when we talk about it in here, he hated talking about it. I don't know why. He said it was fake and they were playing airsoft. He just ignored it. He just kept saying the airsoft stuff. Whenever we'd at him, he would just ignore us. I don't know why the Ukraine shit bothered him so much. It bothered him a lot, though. He would just try to derail our conversation every time we talk about it. I think Matt Greger started posting pictures of dead bodies and adding it and saying, ask him if that was airsoft. If you like people's heads blown off and shit.
When the Ukraine war stuff was going on, I guess that was a bit too Bane World for Lewis, and he didn't want to see or hear any of it. His dad was watching the news because he was interested in it, and that spurred a lot of the hatred for the TV noises. Lewis was getting very irate, saying that all this coverage on the news and stuff, it was just airsoft LARPers, like it wasn't even a real war, it was just people playing airsoft. One night he grabbed a samurai sword and started trying to shove it through the gaps in the floorboards to the living room above, following the sounds of footsteps. Yeah, it got pretty sketchy there for a second.
With Lewis rapidly accelerating towards those tumultuous upper tiers of the psychoactive spectrum, the increasingly unpredictable nature of his behaviour would soon trigger the sort of real-world consequences befitting an untreated schizophrenic. Whatever treatment he was undertaking, if any at all, would render an efficacy comparable to padding your ear canal with fecal matter in hopes of silencing the voices. And with Lewis spending the overwhelming majority of his days stuffing his bearded gob with mounds of carbohydrates, whilst glued to the unfolding of Dragon Ball Z's future Trunks saga, it wasn't long before reality would once again distort to the maniacal whims of a malformed man-child. Having just witnessed Dr. Giro's evil androids reap havoc on the hapless sea fighters, Lewis would naturally attribute their every nefarious characteristic to his absent-minded father, thus believing the elderly stranger upstairs to actually be a robotic infiltrator from the Dragon Ball Extended Universe, in urgent need of termination. This prompted Lewis to ask friends in his private Discord community for advice on what he should kill the robots with, whilst posting 2 pictures, one of himself suggestively holding a carving knife, and another of his father through an open doorway. And whilst he admitted he was scared they'll call more reinforcements, he was quick to extinguish those fears, adding that, if the first 2 are easy, Mogar would like to get in a big war today. The conversation would somehow take an even more unsettling turn, with Lewis expressing how they seem like horrible real folks, before continuing with, maybe in an hour I'll find the courage, his final post of the exchange. As the reality of what was about to take place dawned on those in communication with Lewis, immediate efforts were made, albeit rather delicately, to attempt to defuse the situation and avoid what could have been a rather terrifying case of potential patricide.
Howdy, partner.
Yo, so, I think today I'm gonna
You streaming?
So yeah, I'll stream for you guys. I'm having so many technical difficulties lately, because of the robots that replaced my parents. And, I think that today I should just kill them. Well, I mean, I'm kind of scared. I didn't set things up in the first place. You guys, like, kind of hype me up a little bit for it? I mean, it's you and Norm. But, well, Gorzak and Horses are here, so they're pretty good at that, at hyping me up for this.
What are your plans?
Well, to be honest, I'd probably just get a knife and stab both of them.
I don't know. You need to be doing that.
We're in Massachusetts, nobody knows that.
You should probably try diplomacy first.
No, I've done enough of that, so that's why I killed them.
What's happened?
Oh, so there's 2 robots upstairs who look like a mom and dad, and they bug the shit out of me, and they don't do anything good.
Okay, so what are your plans? What do you want to do?
Well, to be honest, the way I was raised was kind of like, use this, but I don't know if I really should. It might be easier than that.
Have you tried maybe just talking to them?
Gorzak, can you like not be a robot for a minute?
I'll try.
Oh, that'd be a deal if Ryan could just help me out, or if somebody could get online, just kind of walk me through this. It's a technical difficulty.
Have you tried calling JP? He's usually pretty good with things like this.
What are you going to do about the reinforcements?
Yeah, this is like right in JP's wheelhouse.
Oh, it's in his wheelhouse, and then he'll take care of that? So, I mean, I could just use this jackknife and get rid of him pretty well. I could use my bare hands too, but I figured out what they're made of. I snuck in a werewolf copy of them.
I don't think knives are going to be too effective against robots, like just my experience. I mean, JP would know better than me, but...
You say I have such an easy fight on my hands that a weapon might actually harm me? Because how frantic I...
Yeah, that's what you have to look out for, is if the knife, like, comes back on you.
Okay, now we're talking.
Oh shit.
that was alarming, seeing that. It's like he had like a revelation or something that they were androids after people were mentioning that to him, and he like kind of got like dead eyes, like kind of got a little worrisome. His face just went kind of blank.
Around this time of this TV business driving him crazy, he started to think his parents were robots. One night he joined VC and he was just going on about his dad being a robot. I think he was watching like a season of Dragon Ball to do with androids at the time, where like androids are, I don't know, acting as people and getting up to mischief and whatnot. That probably seeped into his brain. He joins VC and he's like, I think I have to kill my parents, and everyone's like, what?
I don't think they deserve it. No, I don't think that he should kill his parents. I think that I definitely would, if I were them, I would definitely be locking my door when I go to sleep at night, things like that. If I were his dad, I would go get a gun just to protect myself from Lewis, or get bear spray, something like that.
He looked quite psychotic and kind of asking people to hype him up and talk him into it. I think he just straight up asked, like, should I kill my dad? People were like, hey, no, maybe you shouldn't do that. But he was just going around like taking pictures of knives, like, oh, maybe I should stab him with this.
Fortunately for all involved, Lewis was ultimately convinced to forgo the weaponry in favour of giving Patrick a particularly stern talking to, albeit sporting a horned goat mask and a rather ominous set of fingerless gloves. After aggressively ordering his own father to turn the TV off and go to bed, claiming, "I'm a growing boy and need my sleep," he would quite literally take matters into his own hands, initially by manhandling Patrick into a cowering whimper, before depriving this pathetic old coot of his beloved news programming. With Patrick's attempts to calm the storm brewing in his son's cranium met with such warnings as, "I am the boss and I've been the boss," and "This isn't a talking matter, you should do as I say," the altercation would only deteriorate further, with Lewis towering over his retreating father screaming, "Are you a fucking robot?" Luckily, the faint and desperate cry of Patrick Finley begging to be left alone was deemed worthy of the Lord's mercy, with Lewis eventually disappearing back into the dank basement lair he was ostensibly summoned from. Upon his return, Lewis would almost immediately snap out of whatever living nightmare he was mentally handcuffed inside, asserting that his parents were indeed human after all. And with his appetite for familial slaughter now somewhat satiated, and Patrick seemingly oblivious to his own premature expiration at the hands of his own flesh and blood, this was certainly a case of crisis averted across the board.
Bed? Yeah, I think you should go to bed. No, it's not. No. I think you should turn the TV off. Okay? I'm a growing boy and I need some sleep. I think you should turn the TV off so it doesn't fucking keep me up all night or make me angry during the day. No, this isn't really a talking matter. I think you should do what I say. No, I can turn that off myself. That's why I am the boss and I've been the boss. So are you a fucking robot? Man, get rid. Hey, just leave it alone. You seem to be like kind of getting out of it. Alright, just leave it alone, okay? Fine. Nice. I've been watching too much TV of my own. I'm starting to believe it.
Is that a robot or not?
It didn't seem like it.
Okay.
Yeah, it seemed like a human to me.
So if he's, wait a minute, if he's an innocent human, but that was still non-violent, then did I help him?
I think so.
I don't know. I feel bad. I feel like I did the wrong thing. But I mean, I feel like I did the wrong thing because I kind of roughed him up a little bit.
You were touching him threateningly.
I wasn't, or I was. Because I had my glove on, so it was soft.
You grabbed his shoulder real hard.
Oh, okay, but I think I just learned.
Too quick on the assertiveness.
Okay.
That's just my takeaway.
Oh shit! I guess
So
I
did we
really.
find out a robot?
No.
I don't think he's a robot.
He's not a robot.
You sure?
Yeah. That's friggin' Sean.
I was not present to lead up to that, but what I saw was he puts on his garb and starts like creeping up the stairs like he's gonna go, waste his parents. He stands there real weird for like, I don't know, a good few minutes. Seeing that was pretty weird. Not knowing how far his delusions go, and seeing him do that was like, oh boy, we're getting to it now,
He picks up a knife and thinks about going upstairs, and then he puts on some gloves, puts on the Mogar mask, and then he went upstairs to confront his dad. And apparently it was on stream, wasn't it? So yeah, you can see him slapping his dad around a bit. There's one like freeze frame in particular where he's sort of like cowering. Looked pretty scary for the old guy. Then he came downstairs and got back in the voice chat, and he was like, okay, so yeah, it turns out my dad isn't a robot.
Your dad, Patrick, wants you to stop being so aggressive around the house. Stop storming upstairs while your dad's watching CNN. And if you can manhandle him, you shouldn't. Stop calling yourself the boss. You're scaring your dad. You should stop doing it. You should stop putting people through this bullshit. I have no idea what the fuck is going on here, man. This is the fucking strangest, stupidest fucking cameo I've ever fucking done in my life. And I don't give a fuck if I get off this fucking app, but thanks for the fucking bullshit I gotta wake up to, or all this garbage goddamn shit making me...
So I hear Lewis had to deal with one of Dr. Giroux's androids. It even took the form of his own father. Can you believe that? If I found out Bardock was a robot, I don't know what I'd do. I sure hope he made the right call sparing Patrick's life like that. I would keep a real keen eye on those so-called parents if I were him. Things could get ugly.
As the dust of his attempted paternal slaying settled, Lou's parents would commence work on facilitating their son's return to relative normality. And with Lewis practically holding himself prisoner in the fetid refuge of his parents' basement, his mother figured providing him with some semblance of mobility would encourage her defective offspring to start taking a little responsibility. Until recently, he was surprisingly able to ferry himself about town on his BMW 650. But with Lewis interpreting the letters EXP on his motorcycle license as a roleplay style indication of experience, it took his mother to break the unfortunate news of its expiry. Her solution was to offer to contribute a significant sum of money towards an adult electronic bicycle from cycling retailer Highboy, something that was quite clearly of very little interest to Lewis. It appeared the cognitive fog settling at the back of his skull had heavily warped this exchange with his mother, resulting in the confused discussion of some sort of make-believe workplace complaint and a fantasy pay rise. And with a worked-up Lewis exclaiming that, "I want to sit in this fucking cave and just kind of rot," there really was no further discussion needed, as his mother took her leave.
I found a site that has all sorts of adult scooters and electric bikes and all sorts of cool things. It's called Highboy, Hiboy.
Okay.
Highboy.com.
Alright.
They have this electric mountain bike. It's slick. They're pricey, but if it's something you'd really use and get around, I think it's worth it, don't you?
Well, yeah.
You look at them and tell me
the
what
reason I tried the kid size one. I mean, I can't make much money.
I know.
I can't make much money. I just got my first pay raise in so long, and
I know.
that was still 10% of it. If somebody else buys me that, I'd be happy to use it.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm sorry. I don't want to talk to. I want to sit in this fucking cave and just kind of rot. And because that's an improvement from getting swept away from my old office.
Okay, and then Harley Davidson, I think it's called the Wizard. Harley Davidson makes an electric bike too that Dad knows a lot about. That could be cool.
It's like a toy design or something.
You'd rather have something you stand on? Oh well, you look when you have time, okay? Highboy, Hiboy, Harley Davidson scooters.
I don't want to look into it anymore.
However, as brief waves of lucidity washed over the impaired cerebral rock pools scattered across his brain, he would come to realise the utility, given the enormity of his bubbled mass, of procuring a personal electric vehicle. Lewis would apportion a modest amount of what he'd describe as mana, an autistic method of currency exchange for the mentally disturbed, to the purchasing of a battery-powered scooter. But with Lewis having recently switched his all-encompassing sense of cultural influence from Dragon Ball Z to Kamen Rider, he needed a set of wheels that could rival the stylistic panache of Hibiki's Geika. He would eventually settle on a laser green razor black label E90 electronic scooter, on sale for only $118 and rated for a max weight of just 120 pounds. Boasting what Razor calls a free hub high torque motor with just 90 watts of power, this E90 would seemingly be capable of speeds of up to an eye-watering 10 miles per hour, providing of course the rider's not a 6'2" adult male weighing in at over 300 pounds. And as a product specifically advertised according to its own listing as a scooter for kids aged 8 and up, it's certainly amusing to imagine Lewis unironically towering over a 33-inch child's plaything. That is of course if you're not the biological mother to this witless oaf. As the irritation of a son's lack of financial foresight began to fester, the further the nurturing mask of a battle-worn matriarch would slip. She would confront her son head-on, for some absurd reason challenging this neurotypical spastic on the pitfalls of bad decision-making. And with his response reduced to the self-declaration that he is in fact Japanese cult hero Kamen Rider, as well as further claims that he needs his extra ride to save children, his mother had finally heard enough.
Okay, I'm sending the scooter back.
But it works. I just went for a ride.
You're way too big for it.
It's a big ride.
Okay, they're picking it up today.
But they're not.
They are.
Mom, I have to tell
Look
you
at this.
something.
It's not even tall enough for you.
It's supposed to be that way.
No, it's a kid's. It's for 8-year-olds.
No, it's for saving kids.
It's 8 years old, Lewis.
Mom, it
Okay,
is
so
8
you
years
put
old.
the whole thing together.
Yeah. Mom, I gotta tell you something.
I don't want to hear it.
I
really
gotta
don't.
tell you that. Mom, I'm Kamen Rider.
Lewis, look how short it is.
It's supposed to be.
No.
It's an extreme trick.
No. I was going to exchange it for a bigger one for adults.
But I am an adult. I
You're
just
not-
wrote it.
You just are...
It's my
No.
EX ride. It's my extra ride, Mom.
You know what?
See, I'm Kamen Rider.
No,
I have
you're
to.
not. It's stupid.
It's how it's.
It's stupid because it's too small.
Well, it's the only one that they could send me.
Okay, you know what? I don't want to deal with you because you're just stubborn and you're not being rational.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was going to get you the adult one that holds you and is tall enough for you. I knew you were going to do that.
Okay.
How did
Well,
I know?
If I'm predictable, then I'm
Because you
safe.
just think you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I do.
You know, that's $125 right there, wasted. I'm sorry, but it's just not a good decision. And guess who deals with it? It's not you. Now I gotta cancel it and do all that.
No, just let me keep it.
You don't deal with it.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Well, that's why I have to deal with it.
No.
Right?
Your father, Patrick, wants to me to remind you that your Razor E90 e-scooter is for a 6-year-old. You're 300 pounds and you're going to break it. It only goes 5 miles an hour and it has a 3-mile range. So you can only drive it for 35 minutes or so. You're 300 pounds, you need to stop it. I'm glad these are so bizarre. I hope someone's having an autistic time.
Yeah, I think she was pretty upset when he bought that kid's scooter. He was posting screenshots of scooters he liked on Amazon, and people were telling him, like, you know, these are child scooters, you should get an adult-sized one, it's just going to be a waste of money. His mother was of the same opinion, that he should have got an adult-sized one. In typical Lewis fashion, he did it anyway.
I can only guess that he bought it because I guess he saw a very similar thing on some gay child show that he watches. I don't know, Kamen Rider, like, I don't know what that is, but yeah, it's some gay child show he probably watches. She was concerned because it was clear that the scooter wouldn't hold him. It was for, like, toddlers. I mean, it was small, like, it wouldn't even nearly hold him. She was, like, genuinely being nice and wanted to buy him and like one for adults, so, you know, obviously they wouldn't have to drive him around and shit like that. she went upstairs and comes back down, and it's the child Scooter's already assembled. She clearly was pretty pissed off about that, and just didn't really understand. But he wanted it. I don't think he's even used it yet. I haven't seen him on it.
She had already told him previously, like, look, this is a child size, so we'll return it and we'll get an adult size one for you. She left him to his own devices and he decided to build it anyway and go for a little ride. She came back and she was like, oh, so like, yeah, this is unreturnable now. Even after he tried to reason with her by revealing that he's actually Carmen Rider, which is why I think he might have wanted that particular child scooter, because it was like green, like Carmen Rider's motorbike.
When I think about him on like a motorcycle or something, I think of like that. What's the music when like the Wicked Witch of the West comes out and I don't want to go near Maryland, like if I know that he's like on a motorcycle. He looks like the fucking Hamburglar riding around on one of those. Like it's so weird, like him hunched over like that with like his cane arm. Like it's terrifying. A scooter would be best, but like that scooter that he bought clearly wasn't gonna work. It's for children, like babies, basically. I don't think that like that would even propel him. Like I think that he would have to just push around with his foot. The battery in that is not meant for carrying somebody like that. It would just run out of battery immediately.
With each passing day, Lewis would continue to mentally drift further and further from the shores of the material world. Psychologically speaking, he was at this point barely even afloat, hardly capable of mustering a single kick in the thick, heavy water of his subconscious. And with the last visible remnants of cognitive landmass disappearing beneath the horizon, he was just about ready to snap. A letter from Orange County Probation Department requesting the immediate payment of outstanding criminal charges would become that very straw that broke the retard's back. The fees would relate to his previous stalking of the still missing Katie Lavelle, resulting in 6 months of forced imprisonment at Orange County Central Jail. But with Lewis having all but wiped the event from what remained of his memory, or more accurately buried what happened under layers of certifiable bullshit, this letter would send him into an apoplectic frenzy, literally screaming violent threats and rabid expletives to his former captors on his Twitch livestream, before tearing and then urinating on the letters and flushing them down his lavatory. With Orange County Probation Department having further threatened to garnish his source of income, attach themselves directly to his bank account and even seize personal property, Lewis would be forced into some sort of creative economic solution. And having seen the words franchise tax board on the reverse of the letter, he would understandably turn to financial Twitch streamer Cash Meow for advice on potential Japanese tax loopholes.
I didn't even look at that long before I tore it up and threw it in the trash because it's a fucking waste of paper that should be used for Shonen Magazine in the first place. But I'll still even say the number that they still think I owe them, which I'm not giving any of. Ever. Not in my entire life. Even if I had 7,000 yen, and even if you asked me for 7,000 yen then, that's why you picked a fight with the wrong fucking man. See how my inner demon, now that it's been released, ha ha ha, really likes to laugh whenever anybody's dumb enough to fucking commit suicide by fucking picking a fight with me? What are they gonna do about it? They got fists this fucking small compared to what I got. What are they gonna fucking do about it to me, huh? Nothing. They're not gonna fucking do anything about it. If whatever the fuck a law enforcement is the fucking putty men from Jetman, then I'm fucking Jetman. I never dealt with any of that shit. The fucking, like, Shonen Weekly. Is Shonen Weekly? How many people read Shonen Weekly? They're so goddamn sorry now. They're all fucking begging and kneeling and apologizing and crying and spitting and puking all over their own homes. It is hardly okay for them to live. It is hardly okay for them to even fucking live for another 20 fucking years. Because as far as I care, they're in my prison, I'm the warden, and I'm the boss from my house. Wherever the hell they are. Whether I like get fucking scumbag shit in the mail from a fucking luxury retreat of faggots wearing their silk black robes with their tiny little shitty hands and their shitty gavels, or it's from fucking thugs, I don't give a shit, and I send them some big goddamn threats back because I'm a big goddamn threat about this, and I'm right to be. And what should any fucking shit-licking ass licker who fucking gets off and tugging their tiny cock
about fucking voyeurism of shit that they didn't fucking have a helping hand to give into it, due to now receive punishment for fucking not being good enough to help out in that situation, huh? What should they have to do? Because I think some sort of faggot who works for the fucking law or gets off on their fucking jollies on fucking YouTube clips of some kids falling down from a fucking earthquake and not knowing what to do and doing the right thing, which is grab onto the biggest dude in the room so that they're all safe, to get fucking torn apart for not even being involved. That's my just opinion there. Huh? This looks like something a lawbreaker has on his stomach? Does it? I think it does all of a sudden. Do you think this laughing demon flexing and how much better it is than all of you fucking alien invaders from planet Frieza are?
So the interesting thing is that they made a system here in Japan with the inheritance tax where if you hold your, like, there's loopholes and shit. No, she's 70. There's some loopholes, obviously, that you can use. Like, real estate's a good one, for example. Holding stock is a good one.
Your son, Lewis, owes a considerable sum of money to Orange County Corrections Department for a 6-month spell in prison on a stalking charge. The girl's missing. Then can you tell him he needs to stop screaming at his screen and pay his debts? Lewis, pay your debts. Give the girl back. Don't go to jail again for 6 months. Your father, Patrick, wants you to come back.
Having witnessed this quad-breasted shitbrain turn his Twitch live stream into an exhibition of concentrated Mongolism, it didn't take long for the handful of hopped-up antagonists watching to have a little fun. What started with a trickle of amusing sound bites from the likes of Dragon Ball's Goku and Vegeta, warning of Lord Frieza's army of dastardly debt collectors, soon escalated to a highly discourteous prank call from a certain Buford T Justice. Boasting a rather cartoonish Texan drawl, the caller would send Lewis into a fit of hysteria so intense that even his own father was called into action, once again playing the role of autist whisperer in efforts of exercising his son's emotional demons. After a brief but explosive exchange during which Lewis would scream, "Are you trying to fucking die?" for what he claims is picking a fight with a fucking teenager who was just watching cartoons, he would conclude the verbal bout by perfectly landing one of his classic post-battle poses, performatively exhaling in short bursts through a vengeful scowl of gritted teeth.
Oh, I got a message? Alright.
Lois Finley, I need your help. Debt collectors are approaching from Prison Planet. I cannot hold them off for long. Lord Frieza sent you a letter. You must do everything he says or be sent back to Prison Planet. Your parents have been replaced. They cannot be trusted. You must continue your training.
Damn it, Vegeta. Ugh. Man, look, listen, I keep wanting to like you, I keep wanting to appreciate you, but Vegeta, I hate you so much. Ugh. Alright.
Hey, is this Lewis Finley? It's me, Goku. Frieza's debt collectors are coming. He said he's taking you back to Present Planet. Frieza said you've been downloading kiddie porn. He sent you a letter. I'd start training if I were you.
I'll repay the only debt I still have to repay, which is to Lord Frieza herself. Alright.
Hello, it is Lord Bonifield Finley.
Yeah, who is?
I'm from Orange County Correction Facility, and I'm here to collect on your debt, boy. I don't know how you do things up there in Maryland, but down here we pay our debt, boy.
Well, you sound like a big dude, and not to be a smarmy dude, but also to be a big dude. I don't give a fuck what you just said.
and I'm having kind
Hey,
of
you gotta
bad
give a
day.
fuck, boy. We bringing up extra charges on you. I know you've been looking at salacious images of little children.
Do you have a camera?
No,
Are
the
you
government don't
blind?
supply me with no
Are
camera,
you
boy.
blind? Are you a blind person?
No,
Are you
I
even a
ain't
real
blind,
person?
boy.
Are you Lord Frieza? Are you a blind person? Are you a deaf person? Are you just a stupid, suicidal person? Whoever the fuck you
I don't
are.
know what
Are you
the hell
fucking
you
Lord
talking
Frieza
about
from
with these
fucking Dragon Ball?
cartoon
Or are you
parodies?
fucking
This is a
retarded
serious
and trying to
matter.
fucking die? Huh? Are you the kind of person who's so ill-mannered that you would fucking pick a fight with a fucking teenager who was watching cartoons? You piece of shit! Whoever the fuck you are! Huh?
I'm gonna hit you, boy. I'm gonna find you.
You sound like fucking Foghorn Leghorn! You sound like a fucking Looney Tune! You sound like a fucking idiot!
Oh, your day's coming, boy. You count the days, son. Cause when I get there, you gotta be breathing your last.
Nah, Big G. This ain't a sport fight. This ain't Ashita no Joe. This ain't a boxing match. Whoever the fuck this little coward is to fucking spy on me and then get publicly humiliated because I was having this on stream already in the first fucking place. Just, you know what?
You're getting too wound up, man. It's just a game, okay?
Oh, it's just a game? It's just somebody playing some stupid game without telling me the rules, huh?
Hey.
That's right, if I kick this desk over as easy as I can kick this fucker over, then it's just gonna break my toys.
Lewis, please, man. Please, hey. You're getting too wound up, okay? Okay? Take some breaths. Take a drink. Hey. I know you kind here, take a drink. I know you, please. I know you're kind
I
of
work for Banda, I know what a
all that
band is.
yelling and stuff is
They're this
scaring.
fucking...
It's scaring everyone.
Well, I'm also scared. I'm scared because somebody just challenged me to a fight for only the second time in my life.
Lewis, stop. Take it easy. Get it together, man. You're getting too wound up and you know it. So just tone it down a little. Scare the shit out of you, okay? And you're scared yourself, okay? Okay. Oh, man.
You might be my best friend, and you might know something I don't.
Maybe.
But if that piece of human garbage shows up here, just stay out of it. Because I'm like Akuma from Street Fighter V, okay? And you know what Akuma does in Street Fighter V? He goes crazy, and that's how he gets powerful, and that's how he defends himself. And I defend myself, because I'm like Akuma from the fighting video game Street Fighter in this.
All right. It's just a game, okay? It's not real. Just have some fun and don't get so wound up. Please, don't scare me. I don't want to happen. Calm back down. Calm down.
Well, if it's just a game, I hope the other players just saw me stand up for myself.
I guess he owed the California prison system or something, like some money, which is normal, like court fees, things like that. I don't really know. Maybe he had to pay something off for his like probation or some shit. Then Sean calls with like a Foghorn Leghorn, like a Buford T Justice accent, pretending like he was some sort of, I guess, representative of the court system of the United States of America. I remember he said, I see you all nowadays looking at salacious images of children online. The most overblown, like, plantation owner accent that I've ever heard. I don't know what I'd imagine Colonel Sanders would probably talk like. I guess it was pretty good Buford T Justice accent now, I mean, to think about it.
Buford T Justice is a man that works for the Orange County Correctional Facility. If his claims are to be believed, there's very little we know about this mysterious character. One day, Lewis did get a letter saying that he owed Orange County Jail $70 for something or other from when he stayed there however many years ago. He read it because it was written as like 70.00. He read it as 7,000, and of course it was yen, not dollars. This Buford T Justice fellow called up and caused all sorts of commotion, demanding payments and whatnot. Around the time he was at the peak of his mania, got Lewis quite worked up.
Lewis keeps strange hours. It was probably in the middle of the night when he got that call. It was probably some odd hour. This just extremely southern foghorn leghorn man is calling you at 1 a.m. about your like $100 you owe to like the California court system. Like, Lewis like lost his mind. Do you want to die? You're harassing a teenager. Do you want to die? That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Buford got him quite worked up, and to the point he was like yelling at the top of his lungs, and his dad had to come downstairs to be like, "Hey, what's up? You need to calm down." After his dad's calmed him down, he's like, "I could kick this table, but I won't because it would just break my toys." Lou started like hyperventilating, lowering his heart rate a bit over the course of the next few minutes, and then he was explaining to his dad how he's actually like Akuma from Street Fighter or something like that. And his dad was like, "Oh, okay," and just went upstairs. I guess he was like, "Okay, I've calmed him down from the murderous rage. That's my job done for the day. I'm going to go back up and watch TV."
By some unidentified case of divine intervention, Lewis Finley's fortunes were about to change for the better, courtesy of some anonymous benefactor's generous donation of a $500 thermoplastic sex doll. Standing at just over 3 foot and 3 inches high, Sex Angel Baby's Apollini boasts a hinged metal alloy frame, a removable blonde synthetic wig, and an absolutely whopping pair of gelatinous tits. And with what the seller describes as a usable mouth, anus and heated vagina, this questionably sized fuck toy was about to turn Lou's entire life upside down. After cautiously unboxing what would become his new silicone sweetheart, he would deduce the identity of the doll to be none other than his imaginary girlfriend Ren, concluding she had first removed her own head before shipping herself to Lewis in a padded box marked special delivery. He would describe how Ren had sent something that sort of looks like a human head that I won't open, before adding she had also included something I'm just gonna keep censored, a likely nod to the vaginal opening of his fleshly acquaintance. After a tentative few hours with his inanimate wench, during which he would repeatedly question her lack of movement and conversational skills, he would dress the doll in a rather loose-fitting child's Harley Quinn costume he happened to have laying around. Deciding the doll closer resembled a certain psychic fairy Pokemon than his beloved Harley Quinn, Lewis would briefly name his heavy-chested companion Mrs. Mime before settling on the permanent moniker Lizzie for reasons only he knows. The two were immediately inseparable, not only sharing some tender if a little unidirectional conversation, but eventually the intimacy of Lord Mogar's private chambers, consummating their blossoming relationship that very night.
Put this down here. That is some sort of headless thing. Came with a very clever way to get through the jungle into Sekigahara, which was like mail order shipping herself. we decided to measure each other earlier. Like, I'll stand up for this. Her feet, like, would be here. And then her head would be, like, up to here. She's actually, like, up to, like, my waist. Maybe even lower. What the fuck just happened? Why the fuck am I this goddamn big? Y'all would be cool with me dating a dwarf or a midget, but, like, I'm not making this up. Like, she's part of Malice Miser. The last time we went on a date, you were 6'2". I was around that size. I was just like bulkier. I was wider because I'm a dude. Now I'm probably 8 or 10 feet tall. There's Ren. She's actually a rather famous and notorious musician herself. And the act she has for that is being a marionette, which is pretending to be a puppet. I know it's difficult for you as a professional contortionist and artist to sit so still that you appear to an audience that you are doing absolutely nothing whatsoever. But now you actually get what streaming would be if you weren't now co-hosting with me. Is that it's like it wouldn't be, you might as well be a .jpg. Am I not some gigantic super demon like one of the villains in our comic books? Like, was that not clear enough? Because I'm sure it is now.
Lewis, Patrick wants you to stop having a silicone sex doll. It's not your girlfriend. And you call her Lizzie. She's 3'3" with huge breasts. And he's raiding his mother's wardrobe to dress her up. So you're raiding your mother's wardrobe to dress up a 3-foot tall sex doll. Something wrong with everything that's going on here. You guys gotta fix your fucking head. And 35. You owe me like $90 for fucking putting up with this fucking bullshit, waking me up in the middle of the night to do these fucking things.
As a 32-year-old incelibate virgin with severe logical impairment, Lewis was practically fizzing at the prospect of sharing his maiden sexual conquest. He would post a typically Finley-esque declaration that, after 32 years of bikini-themed disco parties, I am a sex haver, prompting a well-deserved round of jubilation from his digital companions. He would describe in detail how he cum-blasted for about 5 entire minutes, before stating how he ended up shooting black Kai instead of the typical white. And having reiterated how he shot off black cum for 5 entire minutes, he would go on to question whether this impressive load was only half of what my right nut had, before rounding up this carnal post-mortem by claiming to have soaked the entire bed last night. Lewis was about to enter some sort of Lars Lindströmian honeymoon period, often filling his Discord community with a flood of romantic bedroom selfies. Night after night, he would transport the doll from his ground floor pit to the cummy musk of his boudoir 2 stories up, often rotating between the occasional on-stream foot massage and, judging by the many stains on Lizzie's face, some incredibly questionable behaviour upstairs. Not even her wigless dome would prevent this portly deviant from living his best life, with Lewis simply updating his own Schizopedia archive stating that Ren looks and acts like a skinny dude at times. When we first dated, she was even bald. And with Lizzie, or Ren, or whoever he thinks this thing is, performing the additional function of Lou's emotional support animal, albeit one he consistently fills with black seminal fluid, things were finally coming up roses for Mr. Finley.
Lizzie is from a background like that, called a princess doll, where she's groomed and raised to not go outside and not meet anybody until she's married.
Cannonball over there. Okay, that'd be easier. we have it. Just the average young love right here. Everyone is average young love. She's got a glow stick, kind of like a Jedi's lightsaber, and I have an actual necromancer's blade. Okay? So we're fine. Everything's super.
So I hear Mr. Mogar's got himself a new girlfriend. Some 2-bit silicone trash bag named Lizzie. This girl's barely 4 feet tall. And you see that wig she's wearing? You ain't fooling anybody, Toots. She even dresses herself to be just like me. Get a grip.
I'll say this. It's not the most conventional of relationships, that's for sure. Call me old-fashioned, but I think that sort of thing should be reserved for consenting human beings. I mean, what's that thing made out of? Rubber? Well, Louis, none of that matters. Just as long as you're happy.
Lizzie is a sex doll that was sent to him by a mysterious benefactor. Lewis didn't really know where it came from or who sent it. I think to begin with, he thought Ren had shipped herself to him somehow, and she was just being very quiet. Like he was saying, like she isn't saying much. He'd keep on asking people who was watching his stream if they saw her move while he wasn't looking. His primary concern was that the head was detached. He was very freaked out by that. He didn't like that the head wasn't on the body. He became very fastly infatuated with Lizzie. Yeah, I guess it was sort of his girlfriend for a few months or so. Like he was just like talking to it in its chair, like having actual conversations with it and stuff. I don't know, giving it foot rubs on stream and like cradling it like a child. It was all very sinister.
Lizzie is a porno doll that was sent to Lewis. A child sex doll, a sex doll that looks like a child. It was sent to him by a donor. He carried it around like a baby. He had sex with it. Here's the weirdest, like, how he, like, cradled it like a baby. And, like, treated it like a baby, but also how he talked about fucking it. One of the things I initially said is, like, if you had a dog in that house, he would fuck it. Like, he doesn't care. That's why you can't have those things around people like that. He needs to be neutered.
I don't know why he had child-size Harley Quinn clothes, but he did, and he put the doll in it. And then he started calling her Mrs. Mime. Not really sure what that's all about. I guess it's sort of like Mr. Mime or something. There was a lot of names for it. It was kind of hard to keep track of all the nonsense, to be honest. Oh, at one point he got sent clown makeup, again by a mysterious benefactor. I guess the idea of sending him clown makeup was that he would put it on himself, but instead he just caked the doll's face in white paint, like a really thick coating of it, and it just looked absolutely horrendous. He might have been trying to cover up that little cum stain, though, that was near the nose.
I don't know, he's talking about his fucking nut on there. Like, what's he saying? Like, he had a sex cum or some weird shit like that? He had cum stains on his face. It's all the yellow stains. It's pretty gross. And the way he treats it like a baby, it makes it so much worse. That was a, probably a scary time to be in the Finley household when that doll came in.
He was just carrying this thing around the house, like up to his bedroom, down to his basement. So his parents were like definitely aware he had a sex doll like the day it arrived. He was dressing it in his mum's clothes at some point. That was pretty weird. The night he got it, I believe, is when he first had sex with it. He claims to have done a sex cum blast in it for 5 minutes, whatever that entails. Now he considers himself a sex haver.
Geoffrey Chaucer's medieval poem Troilus and Crusade roughly poses that all good things must come to an end. A rather ominous thought given Lewis Finley's recent upturn in fortunes. The morning of May 17th would see this mentally bedridden slob inexplicably vanish from the internet without a trace, remaining completely uncontactable across all digital platforms. As days turned to weeks, his sudden and unexplained disappearance would trigger a surge of fear and speculation that would quickly envelop the Finley Brotherhood. After sifting through the Twitch archives preceding his departure, a Discord user going by the name Butfartley would unearth somewhat foreboding footage of what appeared to be an unknown middle-aged individual seemingly on official business, sporting a COVID mask and lanyard and inspecting the infamous Jack Shack before taking his leave. A short clip taken from later that evening cryptically addressing the situation would see Lewis express his hopes that another emergency isn't going to happen for a long time, before signing off for good. Whether or not this shadowy figure had any part in Lewis Finley's exodus is at this point unknown, but having now kicked up quite the fuss among his chat room acquaintances, it took one of them calling his house to finally get to the bottom of Lewis Finley's mysterious withdrawal. Understandably reluctant to broadcast his son's litany of behavioural issues to strangers over the phone, his father would contend that Lewis was in fact taking a short break to spend time with his grandparents before confirming he was due to return the following week, a frankly ludicrous proposition considering his current psychoactive state. As for now, the only thing left to do was wait.
We were starting to see people like pop up, like we saw a guy on stream with like a lanyard, somebody who definitely was there in like an official capacity. We couldn't figure out why or what that was. Like just walking around in Lewis's basement. After his dad summoned him upstairs, like kind of ominously, like come on upstairs, Lou. And then this guy is downstairs he didn't recognize, just walking around. We were trying to figure out what that was, who he was, because I mean, it was like 3 a.m. when he was there. It's clear now that that was somebody who was there to handle Lou. I guess one of Lou's handlers. I guess they had come, I guess, secure his domain.
I'm gonna trust my roommate that I can just get to sleep, and another emergency is not gonna happen for a long time, okay? See you later.
Hello?
Yeah, hello, is Lewis there, please?
Who's calling, please?
Yeah, it's Porcelain. I'm one of his friends.
Who is this?
Porcelain.
Well, this is his dad. Can I help you?
I just wanted to check in on him. He's not been around for some time, so I want to make sure he's behaving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's his move on Civ 6, and I've been waiting for about a week already.
Well, he's away right now. He'll be back.
He's been acting a little out of character, so I just wanted to make sure everything was okay.
No, he's okay.
Is there anywhere I can reach him, or...?
This is like a restricted number?
Yeah.
You're calling from a restricted number?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Well, do you want to leave me your number and I'll have him call you?
When will he be back?
He'll probably be back within the week or so. He's out visiting his grandmother.
Oh, okay. If you could just let him know I called, that would be great.
Well, how did you get this number?
Lewis gave it to me. I'm sorry if I've interrupted anything.
No, you didn't interrupt anything, but when I see a number that you're calling from a restricted number, that kind of makes me like wonder what's going on. But
yeah, I understand.
Anyway, man, don't worry about it. Just try him back next week.
Precisely 3 weeks after his abrupt disappearance, Lewis would just as suddenly resurface, claiming to have been prescribed vitamins for what he'd initially describe as memory loss. After spending time tending to the adulation from his on-screen well-wishers, the conversational tone would quickly shift to pressing him on his time away. His initial response was one of protracted nonsense from a clearly confused noodle brain, with bizarre explanations such as being on a Japanese hot spring retreat searching for the source of volcano openings his usual go-to. He would occasionally allow for the lobotomized mask to slip, speaking of dark evil thoughts requiring a team to help get it together, and even spoke of his father having encouraged him to focus on the positive. With Lewis back to streaming the everyday adventures of a maladroit deadbeat, his viewers would be shown a brief window into where Lewis might have actually been. The clip in question would show his father greeting Lewis with a handful of pills, heavily suggesting a recent round of mind-altering treatment. Having asserted that Pez is the same as medicine, adding that it took several years of studies to come to the conclusion, Lewis would later refer to these pills as soul candies or gems, even suggesting regular meetups with some sort of mage who assumably dispenses these psychotropic treats. Anything to avoid the reality of what he was actually ingesting. He would eventually open up about his experience, albeit through nebulous deposits of tranquilized defecate, weaving stories of imaginary dreamscapes and nautical battle scenes on the lawn of his Maryland home. He would first describe how US Navy personnel were summoned to the property with no real understanding as to why they were there. Lewis would then identify himself as Carmen Ryder, before confirming to the servicemen that demons were attempting to eat his parents. After efforts to strangle one particular demon who was apparently mimicking his own father, resulted in Lewis placing Patrick in a chokehold until he was coughing up blood, he was then subdued and tightly bound by what he describes as blast cuffs, before being forcibly taken away by the military. If one were to peel back the layers of cartoon drivel and Google Translate his recital from schizo gibberish to the late Queen's English, Lewis essentially seems to have suffered a considerably severe delusion, during which he appeared to have strangled his own father, before being carted off to Shepherd Pratt Health Centre for some much needed emergency intervention.
I guess my interpretation from Lewis's wild tales is that he thought his dad was demons and strangled his dad to the point he was coughing up blood. At that point, he has to be taken away somewhere. So some men in white coats came and took him away. He ended up in a mental hospital for about a month. He interpreted that as being a cruise where he just slept a lot and ate. At some point, he said red guards held him down and made him put his hand into a bloodsucker before they'd let him leave.
I put on all my gear and I went upstairs and I attacked my mom and dad in a really gruesome way. And then I looked at them again and they were fine. After I attacked them, they were all bloody and bruised, but then I looked at them again and they were fine. And then the EDF, as I like to call them now, or the police, were at my house. And I told them something, and then they took me down to a hospital, and then what one of the officers told the doctor was, demons attacked his parents, don't look at him like he's crazy. And then the doctor just talked to me and was like, are you going to cooperate when you're in here? And I was like, yes, I've been cooperating so far. I just want to figure out what the heck is going on. And then I dreamt that I was there for 3 weeks that passed by really quickly. It was just I was out of control, and then the second I decided to be in control, I had to go with everybody else's rules.
Now then, Louis pal, how are you doing? Back on the road again. So, this is a quick message, alright, from Patrick to say, welcome back. Welcome home, yeah. So, you live in Japan, alright, you're watching old videos, and you're coming back home, aren't you? Because you've been away. So, it's a welcome back. You've had a good cruise, alright? And this is, basically, I'm saying this on behalf of Patrick because he's still got sore throat. Oh, throat is still bad. Alright, so I hope I make sense. I'm not talking broken biscuits. But anyway, once his throat's better, right, get yourselves out. Go for the takeaway, alright? And while you're out, make sure you put toe knacker cracker away. Have a good one, alright? Welcome back. See you soon.
To be honest, I'm still kind of pretty sure it was an earthquake and my hat rack, or my clothing rack with all my armor and stuff fell down on me. But I used to really go on and on about it in my head, that I had some sort of major surgery from being drugged or something. And it turns out none of that was true. It's just, it wasn't true. It was that I lived in Sendai, which is outside of Tokyo, when the tsunami happened, and I was really, I might have, again, hit my head back then, too.
You no wanna be taking them soul candies, brother. They mash up the mind real bad, you hear? I'm 1,000 years old, and I never be taking brain pills. Man got to be real sick in the head for that. Your father be feeding you nothing but tall tales. You keep popping that page, you be seeing me a lot sooner than you think. You know what, Gwan Lewis. Use your head.
I think the way I handled it in my head this time, of just going on and cooperating with it, and even making sure there was an impossibility of anybody who was hurt was immediately recovered, is good enough that I'll just keep going with whatever plan my parents have for me now. They're supportive of me and they always have been, but it's best that I just don't even bother this time.
I mean, he must have choked his fucking dad out, and that's why they did it. That's why they put him in there, because something must have popped off in order for them to send him off like that. Because he was gone for a month. He didn't go away that night, but I guess his nightmare realm was him getting taken to the loony bin for a little while, or grandma's house. His dad liked to put it. He seemed a little more subdued lately than usual, I guess. I mean, they basically lobotomized him with those pills, I'm sure. So I mean, they must have done something. My tolerance of Lewis is pretty low, so I don't know how much they're helping, really. I think he's always, pretty delusional.
Hey, take it from me, Lewis. There's always a perfectly good reason to choke a relative. Whether it's me falling for another one of Bart's pranks, or you fighting off the U.S. Navy whilst imaginary demons possess your father. We choke those closest to us because deep down, we love them.
Unrelatedly, I had to get prescribed vitamins, right? And once again, we have paperwork about that, but all the doctors' names on it are like Dr. Ooga Booga or like Dr. Meow Cat. It's legit just like made up gibberish names. It's kind of laughable this time, even though it was a serious thing.
Some folks think Mr. Mogar's crazy. Said he's out of his goddamn mind. They even tried forcing soul candies down his throat. Can you believe that? All because he saw a couple of demons and choked his daddy a little bit.
I don't know a lot about the medications to say what he's actually taking. They seem to have made him slightly more aware. He's gone from like 5% awareness to like 25%, which is quite a noticeable difference when you're talking to him. Whether this is permanent, I don't know. I think it's kind of like your glasses prescription, like it keeps changing. So he's going to have to go in at some other point for a tune-up once reality gets blurry for him again.
With Lewis about as far from cognitive actuality as it's possible for the human brain to reach, he would interpret his time at Shepherd Pratt as some sort of extended cruise vacation, complete with a roster of dark-skinned orderlies he'd describe as Red Guards, an Elder Scrolls nod to the overabundance of black nursing staff patrolling medical wards. With his release from hospital now requiring the monitored daily administering of antipsychotic medication, Lewis would spend the majority of his time post-treatment in a confused state of intermittent lucidity. He would dedicate up to 15 hours per day under heavy sedation, only rising for the occasional loading of frozen carbohydrates. And with his parents limiting his time speedrunning Steam's library of Oriental Smut, his online presence would diminish to near non-existence. On the bright side, the prescription pears was in many ways working a treat, essentially acting as some sort of psychogenic fire blanket, whilst keeping himself and those around him somewhat safe. And whilst sharing the odd complaint of crippling boredom, Lewis for the most part seemed to be in a far happier state of emotional well-being, and more importantly would appear significantly more grounded to reality. As his brain continued the physical adjustment to the mental sterilization of soul candies, he would even break out his retired Lord Mogar persona for a final few rounds of theatrical combat, purchasing a $30 Gru-Fu heavy bag, filling it with his parents' pincushions and treating his beloved fans to a sheer festivity of costumed entertainment. And with the addition of the odd glow-stick swinging cyber rave, and even a spot of Elvis Presley-inspired karaoke, the Bannerlord was truly back with a bang.
That was a tough warm-up. I just woke up.
We can't go on together with suspicious minds. You can't see the tears are real, I'm crying.
Proud to say she's my buttercup. I'm in love. I'm all shook up. Oh,
I love you, baby. If it's quite alright, I need you, baby, to warm the lonely night. I love you, baby. Trust in me when I say he's hacking and whacking and smacking. He's hacking and whacking and smacking. He just hacks, whacks, chopping that meat.
As we finally say our painful farewells to Lewis Bonifield Finley, it's only fair we comment on the journey he, through no fault of his own, has been forced at neurological gunpoint to partake. And whilst it's also fair to point out his medicated missteps, and perhaps even laugh at how his condition often manifests itself, it is imperative we remember that a real person exists under those heavy layers of mental coating. Ever the natural entertainer, Lewis chose not to wallow, but to focus his impairment towards bringing joy to those around him. As Lord Mogar, he could shed the emotional turmoil of endless psychological disorder, and for that brief moment at least, achieve some long-awaited escapism. In the making of the Mogar trilogy, I have come to know Lewis Finley quite well, and whilst there are certainly one or two areas of discomfort for me personally, I have mostly found him to be an incredibly kind, considerate and surprisingly witty individual, with barely a malevolent bone in his great big hairy body. This documentary series, whilst certainly engaging in a little light horseplay here and there, was created as a celebration of all things Mogar, a personal testament to the most interesting person I have ever known.
You have 3 new messages and 0 saved messages. To listen to your messages, press 1. To return to the main menu, press 2. First message, sent today at 7:42 p.m.
Hello, Lewis. This is Joe Biden. I'm inquiring about your post on Craigslist for a new sex doll. I'm very interested. Call me back.
Next message, sent yesterday at 4:33 p.m.
Hello, Lewis. It's Donald. So I'm scrolling through Twitch and I come across this channel, and I'm like, who's this guy doing karate moves on a heavy bag? You've got some serious talent, and I know a thing or two about the martial arts, believe me. Speak soon.
Next message, sent yesterday at 1:13 p.m.
What the devil is this I hear you kidnapped my beloved Harley Quinn and calling her Lizzie? I've heard all about the degenerate filth you're engaged in. You really are one sick creature, Lewis. Well, might as well keep the poor girl. She's used goods to me anyway.
No more messages. To return to the main menu, press 1.